July 26, 2022, 6:30 p.m. at the Town Hall Annex, our first meeting here. So it's cozy, and it's been a hot day, but the air conditioning has only been on since about 2, so bear with us. This is a special meeting, so it's only got 4 items tonight, so hopefully it won't be that lengthy. We welcome you and want you to feel heard, valued, informed, and connected to your town and its council. We welcome diversity of opinion and want minority views as well as majority views to be heard. We also appreciate mutual respect despite opposing view. Please remember to announce your name and address when you address the council. Volunteer Evie Anderson will take roll call.
Councilman Terry Fowler.
Here.
Councilman Brian Vinson.
Here.
Councilman Mike Jaffe.
Here.
Councilman Simeon White.
Here.
And Councilman Tom Anderson.
Here.
And Mayor Tara Sinkovich.
Here. Okay, quorum is confirmed. Thank you, Evie. Okay, so items of community interest. We do have, we are asking for volunteers, and maybe the road crew perhaps might be able to install the road signs. We also have the signs that we voted on that came rather quickly. So we have 7 of these. I think they turned out nicely. So hopefully that'll help our solid waste vendors and our road commissioners to know exactly where we begin and end. So there is a burn ban in effect for both Hunt and Kaufman counties. Okay, there is a burn ban in effect currently for both Hunt and Kaufman County. On our G special agenda, discuss and consider paying the Byline Surveying LLC from Emory, Texas to update the original survey for the Poetry Town Hall property for $825. Oh, forgive me. I'm ready to roll here. So we need to go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Fowler will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for everything that you do for us, Lord, and we thank you for this town. We just pray your blessings over this town, Lord. We just ask you for rain on this land for our farmers and ranchers, Lord, and we just ask that you just be with us in these dry, difficult times, Lord, and we ask that you watch over this meeting as we meet tonight, Lord. Give us all wisdom and give us all a spirit of listening, Lord. You gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, Lord. Help us to listen twice as much as we speak. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember Fowler. Okay, back on number 1, discuss and consider paying the Byline Surveying LLC from Emory, Texas to update the original survey for the Town Hall property for $825. So thank you to Tom Anderson for pursuing that and getting that quote. Did you want to say something about that?
Well, I guess the one thing everybody understood is it looks like the completion date estimate is August 9th, which would be great. It's a lot better.
I'm sorry, there's so much noise we can't hear Councilmember Anderson. Thank you for being quieter.
When we originally talked to Hanoi out of Terrell, they were saying end of August or September, but as it turned out, we couldn't use Hanoi because they didn't have the coordinates. The original survey, 2019, was run by Byline, not Emory, so they had the coordinates to start and made it much cheaper to go to them. So anyway, they gave us an estimate, of course, for tax exempt, and $825, which is going to be the cheapest that we can find because they have the coordinates that nobody else does. And they actually gave us an estimate of August 9th, which I thought was very good.
Thank you, Tom.
So is it my understanding that if we don't have the coordinates, then they have to do the whole property and then just that small section that was donated?
That's what Hanoi said. That's the reason. Hanoi recommended we go with Byline because Hanoi said without the coordinates, they'd have to do the whole larger section. And So they had two areas, property ID of 216055, which is the 1.03 acres that Tara Kevin has donated. And then secondly, it's not working? Okay, and then secondly, it's 216058, which is the road going in, which includes the easement. And so now I've got to go back and find out exactly what they're going to do for us on 216058, the easement. I mean, it's a question we need answered going in before they send their people out. But I'll get that done this week or as soon as I can get a hold of them.
So the question is, Tom, whether they're also going to survey the easement?
I don't know the answer to that. It's on their job sheet, which you haven't seen, but the job sheet says the property ID is 216055 and 216058. So it looks like, yes, it does include the easement, but to get a clear definition, I've got to talk to them. The main emphasis the last 2 days was to get the cost and the property and a date to get it done, which we got everything done there, but now I got clarified on the road and the easement, just what exactly is that going to involve. But I'll get that done.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, so we have some citizens that have signed up to speak. Robin Followill.
My name is Robin Followill. I live on County Road 2400. My question is, so y'all are doing a survey company that's not in our county. When you get surveys done, they're done by the county that the property's in. Emory is in Rains County, not Kaufman County.
I think you heard him that he said the original survey was done by this company, and if we did, he called Vinoy first, who is in Kaufman County, but they said it would be very expensive because they would have to do the entire property. So I don't know of a legal reason that that's needed. Do you?
Well, like I've referenced before, city I live in, when people need surveys or want copies of surveys, they have to get that through the county that they live in.
So you're from the city of Mesquite. They have a charter, and they might.
I'm so glad you've done your homework. If you think that's the city that I do indeed work in,
well,
since you're assuming, because I never
well,
said what city I worked for.
well, okay. So it's pretty easily looked up. Is that incorrect?
Well,
But the
That doesn't matter.
but
It's
what
the
you're
fact that
to your point, a survey is the town of Poetry. We don't have a charter that makes us get a survey from any particular place. And Tom has done his work, and he did check with Vinoy, who is the Terrell survey company, but they said that they don't have the coordinates, and it would be a lot more expensive if they had to start over from scratch to do the entire lot area instead of just the 1.03
But
acres.
you don't think that's important? I mean, this is going to, I know you gifted the land, but this is going to end up being a government, it will be considered a government building once it's moved because it is city hall. It needs to be done it needs to be done completely right. I understand this is the cheaper way out, but
I've heard your point. I just disagree.
okay.
Okay.
well, I guess I'd point out that Vinoy said once we get it done by byline, and then there will be a filing, and those coordinates will be available through Kaufman County. But it wasn't available at that time, so Vinoy said the fastest and cheapest way was to go through byline. But once we get the survey and get the title and everything done, my understanding is yes, it is going to be filed, so it'll be available in Kaufman County.
County, okay.
So we're trying to get the fastest and the cheapest way done. But I think your answer is it's going to be in Kaufman
And
County's
all of-
records.
And they have to be, the warranty deed has to be filed in the county that it's located in. So that is part of the process, and it will be filed. The survey and the warranty deed will be filed, just like the septic engineer's report will be as well.
And so has there been a title search done on that property for liens or anything
There,
like that?
there has been originally, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Terry.
Chad West?
Chad West, 19370 Sheriff 986. My question was the same with the title search. What do you mean originally?
Well, the property was only bought 2 years ago, so, and the current owner's the one donating the property. That's myself and my husband, and there's been no other liens, so there is no lien on the
But
property.
Typically, in any conveyance of property,
Mhm.
even based off it was a year ago,
Mhm.
a normal practice would be to do a title search.
That has not been done. Mhm. Shelley Smith?
Is that property completely paid for?
It is
100%?
100% paid for.
And the taxes are up to date?
They're current, yes, ma'am. Patrick Smith? Glenn Strauss? Okay. Okay. Any other comments for the survey company? Now, Tom, this one bill says made to you, and then the other one said to Town of Poetry. Did you want the town to cover this, or how did you want to go about this?
No, I had it changed to the Town of Poetry.
Okay.
So what, maybe you don't have the latest, Tara.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, yes, it did have my name, and I went back to him and said it needs to be to the
The
Town of Poetry, which
Okay.
is that one.
All right, yeah, I'd like to get, and I think you sent me a screenshot, but I don't have like the email on that.
sorry.
So, yeah, no worries. Okay, so, so do we have a motion to hire this company?
Well, do we want to pass the motion before we understand whether or not it includes the easement? I mean, until we have a full understanding of what we're paying for?
Yes, because we want to get it done. If we delay it to the next meeting, we're liable to
Miss our
get
window.
pushed back in the queue.
Yeah, I would say just have, say, up to, $825. And if it ends up being cheaper because the easement, isn't included, or they thought they were doing the entire property, they just need the easement, it's going to be cheaper, it's fine. But if it ends up costing more because it didn't include the easement, well, maybe we look back at it.
Well, it's actually fixed costs, Simeon.
Oh, really?
825 fixed costs. What
Okay,
the
so-
question is what all do we get information on the easement, and I'll find that out.
Why does the easement need to be surveyed?
I don't know. They put it on there. I didn't ask for it.
Is it a
but-
point of reference, maybe?
I really have to ask that question.
Now, is he referring to the easement for Poetry Plaza, the 10-foot easement for utilities, or is he referring to the parking easement?
That's what he's going to be.
I think I got to
Okay.
get more definition.
But I mean, regardless, we have to have a survey. And what was the original cost of that survey for the entire property? Do you remember?
No, I don't
Kevin,
have. I didn't
or
have that
Kevin,
information.
you don't have?
Uh-huh. Uh, uh, It was expensive. It was $1,500 or something.
Yeah, okay. So regardless, we need to get the survey rolling because we can't get the 911 address until we have the survey, and then we need the septic engineer has to have also that survey. So a lot of hinges on the survey. So do we have a motion for this one?
Make a motion, we accept the $825 from Byline Surveying out of Emory.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the terms of $825 from Byline Survey, the original survey company, from Tom Anderson, seconded by White. All those in favor? And that's 4 to, and you're negative or abstain?
Negative.
Okay. 4 with 1 abstaining. Okay. Or 1 no. Okay, that's a no from
It's a no, yeah.
a no from Benson. Okay. Okay, moving on to number 2. Discuss and consider paying the Messer Fort McDonald Law Firm in full for all current invoices totaling $7,245.99. So we received 4 invoices, and it was rather confusing because I made it, I get hundreds of invoices and I've never seen it quite this way. They combined kind of the invoice with the statement, and so they rolled it on, and it was, so I did get clarification from one of June, who works for Messer Fort McDonald, that is the total amount, and thanks to Tom. So $7,245.99. They did write off about over $14,000 for the town.
So that pays us up through when? That covers?
That is through April, and I have not received any further invoices. So we still have, and I haven't received any invoices from May or June.
So my only question on this is one of the citizens brought it up last month, I can't remember our last meeting. How do we document this for the future, that we've been billed a grander amount, whatever it was, 19,000, but we're only paying 72? Because this is gonna serve importance when we're 5-10 years down the road and we're trying to look at budgets, how much we historically spend. If we document that we spent $7,200, we could be setting future councils up for a surprise like we
We have a whole folder of all the itemization. It is confidential according to attorney-client privilege, but we have that as a council, we have that reference.
But their rates and their hours, not necessarily the total bill.
No, we have that as
The
well.
total bill is not confidential, right?
The total bill, it's obviously on the agenda.
And I'm not an accounting person, but it just made sense to me, and if, I don't remember who said it, but yeah, if we want to write it down that the bill was $19,000,
I think that's a good idea to show with the actual bill minus discounts, but that would be more of a procedural thing that we need to pass a resolution or ordinance over. I think this is just a pretty straightforward, pay your bills kind of vote.
I didn't get to talk with Emily regarding that, and I will put that on our talk when we talk our next time, to ask if they care about that or not, because they may not want that on a record necessarily. They may not want other towns to know that they've discounted our town that significantly. So,
By the way, Tar, just to be clear, the discount for January through April was $12,344. The December discount was $1,098, so that gives a total of $13,000 and something, 400.
well,
Yeah, our bills for February, March, and April were $14,883.86 actual.
Wait a minute. For January through April?
No, February, March, and April.
Oh, the 3 months?
well, that's January through
include
April,
January.
though.
But we're
is
paying
more.
January through
Okay,
April.
January through
How much
April.
is January?
January discount or April?
Full.
January bill was $3,123.
So if you
plus
look at,
change. The discount was $1,296.
Okay, so our bills for the first 4 months of the calendar year, $18,006.86.
And actually, it's $19,590. And then the discount of $12,344, which
Okay.
leaves $7,246. Mike.
So it's in the record now, so it's good.
There you
No,
go.
that's fine. I trust you. It's just in the record. It'll be in the deal, so
Oh, yeah.
just as a total.
okay, we're having trouble hearing, so there's been a request to speak up and speak closer to your mic. I had to move my mic closer. Okay, so, all right, so the current bill from January through April to be paid in full, because we have no other invoices at this moment in time, to be paid in full is $7,245.99.
Correct.
Motion.
Okay, so my.
Motion to pay the bill as
Do
shown.
we have citizen comments?
We do.
Oh, sorry. Withdraw the motion.
All right, so Robin, Chad, Shelley, Patrick, Glenn. Okay. All right, now, council.
Okay, motion to pay the invoices January through April to Messer Fort McDonald Law Firm in the amount of $7,245.99.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Jaffe to pay Messer Fort McDonald our invoices from 4 months, seconded by Vinson. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, number 3, Discuss and consider the orientation of the building on the prepared pad at the new location, accounting for current and future needs. So, in the packet, I only made a couple of packets. We have a computer-generated version that's probably a lot better than my clip art one. So we staked out on the pad 3 flags. I don't know if anyone's had I think the council members all went and looked at the flags. So there's A, B, and C ideas. And A is the same as C, except C is further back on the pad. And so the A is where the road, CR 323 would be, that would be like CR 323. So the long way of this building would be facing CR 323. So that is A and C. The only difference between those two is that C is further back. Okay?
Just to make certain, this wall right here is this current wall right here, right?
It is that front wall, and that little square is the bathroom.
So then 986 will currently be the parking lot, right?
That would be
one on the
Longhorn.
driveway.
That would be Longhorn Way.
So this would be
Or
facing
Longhorn.
County Road 329.
Yes.
That's correct. So on C, the front door faces the side road.
The
On
Longhorn Road. The Longhorn Road, Mike?
The Longhorn
No,
driveway.
the-
Driveway, yeah.
Yeah, because this is the front door, right? So it faces the road that comes in off of 986.
323.
Yeah, 323.
So that
323,
door
okay.
that door right there with the star, that would be facing CR 323.
Okay, so you would be parking on the side of the building, and then the other one, Plan B, you're parking facing the front door.
You're facing and the
You're
front
facing
that
the-
little
the
door.
main door
Yeah, the
here.
main door there.
Oh, the bathroom. Oh, so it's turned around. Okay.
Yeah, that little bump out is the bathroom, so if you're in the parking
Is
lot
that
on.
the front door or is that the back
Now
door?
this
That's the back
is the
door.
back door. That's the front door because it comes into the secretary's office.
Ah, okay.
Well, I kind of like, I'm also trying to keep in mind the neighborhood too. Just make sure it looks nice for everybody. I'd hate for the town hall to be a sore. So that's why, I mean, I always like it facing towards the road. So I'm kind of in favor of B. And I saw the extra buildings listed on here in case we were to build. But I don't understand why we wouldn't just scab on to this building if we were going to upgrade. And if so, if I was doing a scab, I would start back there where
It would have to
this-
be back here. If you're doing B, that would be the main entrance. I just want it for clarity. So that's the main, that door is the main entrance because that's where you have the secretary's office and the roll-up door for greeting, and then the
Right.
main office is there.
But
So-
this would be facing towards the road.
No, that would be facing the woods or Miss Vickers' house.
Miss Vickers'
Why
house.
why wouldn't you have the front facing towards the main road?
This is not the
That's
front,
the
that's the
back
back
door.
door.
I know, we have to
The-
get our orientation.
It's,
Over here, we have the entrance. This door will be a secure area. So
Yeah.
under normal circumstances, the general population would not come in to this
That's
area.
why that store is
where
here.
we would have secured storage and everything back here. So that would be the main entrance. That would be the emergency exit.
and here I was always thinking of this at the front
Well,
door.
and we had no choice but to put the handicap ramp there because it wouldn't fit because the church sanctuary was inhibiting any kind of ramp. So, in this scenario, in any of these scenarios, there isn't anything inhibiting a ramp. So there could be a ramp on the main entrance now.
That way you like.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, it just depends. I know we're not finished with the outside and the finishing touches, so I would just want it oriented so that the front, the pretty side, is facing towards the road.
The
But now
only-
I'm going to have to reorient my mind about how this is set up. And also, I mean, part of the reason that I liked it is because, like I said, in my mind, if you scab on a piece, it's going to be over here, but that changes if that's the front
Now,
door.
the other thing to think about is because of the water flow, now we covered in the pond, but the water flow has to go off the pad. There's a dry creek now, but in case of substantial rain, then there would be a creek, and you might, in order to have additional building, you might have to have a little bridge and then an additional building, because you still need to have the dry creek to handle any significant water.
I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves on additional buildings.
But we do need to kind of orientate it where it doesn't make it impossible for that. I mean, that was Tom's idea, and I agree with that, you know.
But we can put a building on the pond, we could put a building in front, we could put, I mean, there's area on the property. I'd like to get the orientation down and have.
Well, if you put, you need to think about that. Okay, so that is the back door, that's the front door. So we kind of need to think about that so we don't end up, kicking ourselves. So the one thing about the B orientation, you'll notice that the pad is over to the right of the property. At first, I was automatically thinking that the B orientation would be the way to go, but it's off-center. So it looks kind of odd to me to have an off-center building. So when you drive on 323, your building, even if it's facing that direction, is off-center. And that's just something to recognize.
But we had the B configuration in mind when we asked for the dirt work to be done, so the pad is most accommodating
not
for the
necessarily.
B position.
Yeah,
I walked it off.
Well, not necessarily. I didn't want to make that decision, so it is capable of handling any of the three configurations.
To me, it seems like A is the best option thinking forward as far as septic, because our bathrooms are going to be located on that, call it north end. They can come on A, they can come off the side. C, they can come off the side, but that's getting too close to that 5 foot of fill dirt. B, the problem I have with that is your septic system is going to be in all that loose fill. And I understand he brought in what he had, but you still have a loose fill pond right there. So are those tanks going to continue to settle and settle and settle and settle?
He said it would take a good year, and it would have to be turned up, and then turned up, and you probably know about this. This is what Roger Hall said. It'd have to be, in order to, if you were going to do stuff over there, you would have to turn it up and let it dry out so that you don't end up with that pumping soil because there's moisture under there.
So just thinking of future septic systems, I think A is going to be your best bet on that. But I mean, they can put them anywhere you want, but that also comes with a price. So just to be clear, A would have the parking lot right out this window.
It would.
323 would be out this back door.
Mm-hmm.
But the flow of traffic would be parking lot into this door back here for people doing business.
It would. Okay, we have some citizens that want to speak. Robin Follofield.
So, I'm just trying to clarify because I'm new to all this and you've made sure to point that out. So, no matter what design we pick, the padding that's been done or being done, no matter what, is going to be able to support this structure. You aren't going to put any concrete down to put this building on?
So we've covered this in a previous meeting,
And I'm
so
sorry,
I
I
will
wasn't here for
clarify.
this.
Yes, ma'am, I'll clarify. So the dirt that's been compacted is because of the heavy equipment that was used is supposed to be like a 95% compaction rate. He wetted it down between layers and packed it significantly. There was just, I don't know how, it was a lot of water. They poured on it, let it dry, compact it. They really took some effort in that. And then the mover, Mr. Northcutt, he uses a 4-inch concrete slab that's 16 by 16 every 4 feet. So that goes on and that supports that. And then there's also an 8 by 8 structure that goes up above that. So it ends up being, I guess, about 20 feet or 20 inches above grade.
Okay.
So there's not a poured slab as far as concrete, but it does sit on concrete pads.
Okay. Okay. That's just wanting clarification on that.
Okay, Evie Anderson. Oh, you're cute.
Evie Anderson on 2434, and I'd like to start my timer. And I'd like to use a couple seconds to look at these, because who's timing me?
Thank you.
Who's timing? Okay.
No, she has a, yeah.
All right, so. Show me where the front door is on each of these.
So I'm trying to sit these like we're standing right now, okay?
Uh-huh.
That's how we're standing.
So there's the front door?
Yeah.
So on A, yeah, so
Can you
you
draw
come in
them?
here,
Yeah.
and the front door would be right here.
Okay.
Okay.
We're standing on this.
And on this one, the front door facing the
Right
park.
here, the front door would be,
That- Yeah.
right here. Okay, and then here,
Be right over
the
here.
front door
Okay.
is,
Okay. We need an Elmo. Y'all know what an Elmo is? So you lay a piece of paper down and it projects it up to the wall? Do I have a motion to get an Elmo? Okay.
we have it
Okay.
stubbed for a TV there, so one day it might be really helpful.
Yeah.
We just have a further setback A and C.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
So where would the septic be on B?
Well, this is your bathroom, so typically you'll have a plumbing drain that comes out here, and then you'll have a preset tank, you'll have a bathroom
Okay,
tank.
okay, good.
So you can see
All right.
where that approaches that soft fill there.
Okay. Well, I like B because the front door faces the parking. And it just makes more sense to me to drive up and there's the front door rather than, which end do I go in, you know? So I like B, as long as the septic can handle that location.
And they can move these. If you do it this way, which they'd be happy to do it, this stops any renovation from ever coming this way.
Yeah.
Now, Evie, I know that you and Tom walked it, and you were, I'm curious as to where you were wanting to put a Christmas tree or something, I heard.
Oh, I'm not worried about that right now. But I do like B. I like the front
Okay.
door facing the parking, so when people drive up, they'll see the front door and they'll know where to come in.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Evie. All right, Chad West.
Does anybody know what the setback is off the road and off of the sideline?
So a minimum of 20 feet, because that's what a handicap ramp would require, so a minimum of 20 feet off from the, not from the road, but from the fence line, which is the property line.
I realize it's somewhat been ignored, but the Planning and Zoning Commission did submit a plan to you, and they have larger setbacks that they recommended in those, that this building would be fall in violation of.
So what is the setback that P and Z is
believe it was 50
suggesting?
From the side yard?
Like that. I'd have
How-
90
how
feet
much?
off the
90
From the
50?
side and 90.
Well, and
from the
that's
center.
where C would come in handy, or I'm sorry. And we could actually, depending on, you know, we're thinking about concrete cost at this point. And, you know, I think that's a valid point. I think it's a valid point. Thank you. So those of you who are on P and Z committee, any thoughts on that? Now, you know, it's a committee. It's not been approved by the council. But we do want to
It
listen.
hasn't even been presented to
It
the
hasn't even
council.
it hasn't even been presented to the council. But they are working diligently. We do appreciate them. And in the spirit of that, you know, if at all possible. Now, the problem with this, one reason this property wasn't a first choice was because it's not ideal. It needs a lot of dirt work, and then we've accomplished that. But there isn't a lot of room for, you know, there's not a lot of wiggle room for that. There's a lot of low ground with beautiful trees. It's beautiful, but there is some low ground.
So, Simeon, Terry, anything from a P&Z perspective that you can share?
Are you looking it up now? Because I hate to go off of memory.
No, if you look it up, I'm trying to pull up the measurement on CAD. I mean, in
Okay.
the spirit of what the committee has desired, I mean, if we can meet that now, why wouldn't we try to be?
And it
I'm
and
trying
it's
to pull
80.
up the measurement on CAD. We may be able to do C and meet that.
see is as close as you're gonna get.
I mean, yeah, we go too far and we'll be in the Dry Creek area.
You know, with several more loads of select fill needed.
Well, you'd have to cut several trees
Yeah.
in order to make that happen.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Mr. West, what was your recollection of the numbers?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
So
that.
the side was 50 and the front was 80 or 90?
Now, we have the, no,
80
from
center
the,
of
from the front, from CR 323, we have that covered. But from the side, it was how many feet from the side?
50.
50? I thought it was 35 when I thought it was 35. No, we could, because I remember when we were looking at that plat from over there on 1565, it was 35 from the side. It was, and we could probably accommodate 35 on maybe on all of them.
I prefer B, but I still don't think we could make 35 with B.
Well, the current B is actually more than 20. So A was actually right at 20 feet. And so B might already be close. I mean, it's not 20. It's obviously, it might even be double that. So it looks like,
I'm just looking at the bump out for the bathrooms on B. You know, that looks to be really close to the property line there. Definitely not 35 or 50 feet.
well, on here, though, this is the actual, that one is less accurate. This one is it's just more to scale. So this one is the one that you should be looking at.
Yeah, but at least I have a scale on this.
Well, this is a computer generated, though. She actually took, this is Lauren, she actually took the building shape and then put it onto the Google map.
So the building is 36 feet, roughly?
It's 24 by 32 this way,
32.
and then we're on the side of the bathroom, extends to 44 feet.
Okay, so we would need to have the full length of the building between the roadway, the parking lot, and the edge that has the bathroom on it. Roughly.
You can see that if you
Yeah.
want to be.
Because if this is almost 40 feet, then we would need 35 to 50 feet between here and that edge of the building.
And
so we'd
the
need
edge,
almost the length of
yeah,
the
the
building,
edge of that was, I think, when we walked it off, at least 70.
roughly.
It was about 70 feet.
But
So
that
if we
was also
minus 44,
where we were getting into the loose select fill. So, yeah. So
I mean, it's a goal.
We need to stay 5 feet away from the edge
Yes.
of the select fill too, right?
yes.
So,
So if these are scaled, the only one that meets that current requirement is C.
Yep.
It's 35 feet. A is extremely too close. B was 24 feet off. So
You're saying it's 24 feet?
if these are scaled, yeah, if you're taking the end of this building and scaling it to that side wall.
And B could possibly be moved back, but C is already moved back. And it actually, you can see just from a visual, it's quite a ways from the roadway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, it's over
Yeah.
20 feet from the road. But I don't know. It's
All right, we have Kevin Sinkovich.
Kevin Sinkovich, 11090CR 2400. The P&Z committee, I don't remember exactly where we had a lot of, it's strictly just recommendations that we're putting forward to you. You guys got to decide everything, but at one point in time, I remember we were talking about 30, and then I remember we went to 35. I think Valerie made the suggestion to go to 35. But one thing that I'd point out, we're going to have to put handicap sidewalk in there, handicap ramp, but that's boring concrete to get there. More work, more money. We're going to have to spend on that. Just thought I'd throw that out too, because I was just looking at the edge of this building right here to the road right now. It's about 30 feet or 25 to 30 feet, I think, from the edge of the sanctuary to the edge of the road. To the middle of the road, it's probably 35, so maybe a little bit less.
Well, and I don't know that P&Z has solidified their recommendations on that. Do you? Nothing solid, so it could change. But it does make the point that, we don't want to, we're feeling what our citizens would feel if we impose that upon them. So we need to think about that.
Yeah.
All right, Shelley Smith. Patrick Smith.
Patrick Smith, 18730-1565. Are there any deed restrictions on this piece of land that the town hall's going to go on?
I don't believe so.
Well, there either are or there are not.
Kevin's saying no. He knows more about it than I do.
It depends on what you mean by a deed restriction, though, because being a warranty deed, there would be a restriction that if we no longer use it as a town hall, it would revert back to Poetry Plaza.
Correct.
So there is that, and then there's also a 10-foot easement for utilities. So I don't know if that's considered in your book a restriction.
A lot of the agriculture property out here that gets sold, they come with deed restrictions that say to the effect, no commercial operations, no commercial buildings.
It has nothing like that.
Okay. This piece of property today, is it under agriculture exemption?
It is not.
Okay, that's all I've got. Thanks.
Glenn Strauss. Okay. That's all of our citizen comments on that. So
So I guess we're still talking about it ourselves.
we're still trying to.
Yeah, myself, I like the orientation of B because for me, being the person I am, it's more aesthetically pleasing. But I am definitely open to suggestions. This is not a hill I'm going to die on.
So so are there any others who prefer B? Or?
Yeah, I prefer B also
Okay,
for
no,
the same reasons Brian just mentioned.
Okay. Okay.
Is this an unofficial poll? Is this a straw poll?
Yeah, just a kind of unofficial. We're just talking about it.
I'm for C. I'm for C. I think it's more in line with the P&Z's. And that's a committee of 9 people, and that's kind of that's a generalized committee.
Well, and I actually concur with you on this one. At first, I liked B, but then after driving it several times, and I don't get a vote, but you're parking in this parking lot, and I like to see the whole building, and then also this one is the furthest back, and the septic, I think you might have an easier time with that. But I'm not. It's not.
I'm with Brian. I'm not willing to die for it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I think.
Unfortunately, we have to make a decision so that we can get the building moved.
It's all you.
What did you say? Did you say
He
C?
said C.
No, he said B. He was with me, right?
Oh, he's B. You said C.
Oh.
C. Oh.
B, 2 C's.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, I guess-
Simeon's the
Let
tiebreaker.
me ask you real quick though. Does either orientation matter for driving down that road? Do you think it's going to affect property prices? Because I know you're on the same road.
I'm on the same
Which is
road.
why
I
I'm
don't think
asking.
it's going to affect property prices. There was no sale associated with this, which is one of the main ways that the Central Appraisal District affects properties, evaluates properties is based on sales and improvements and such. So I don't think it's going to affect property values. And aesthetically, most of the other houses on that road are flat to the road, not face to the road. So it would blend in more if it were flat to the road. That's where I get the aesthetics. But I leave the aesthetics to my wife. So this is not something that I even feel qualified to vote on.
How far back from the road is it? So it's not. It is from CR 323. It is quite a ways from that. So you can't even really, I don't know that you can really see it that well, or will be able to see it that well. It is up high now,
Yeah,
but
it'll be nestled in the trees. It'll look like it's been there forever.
That's gonna look like the front, and it'll face the road, so,
Yeah.
not
and-
the parking, but the road.
And that's why I'm gonna say C. I mean, it's really close, but yeah, gotta join the league.
uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay,
I have 39 seconds left. Can I say something else?
Precedent.
I don't know that we've done that before. I'm sorry, for safety.
We did offer some for Patrick the other day.
We did, or did we did actually do that for Patrick the other day? Okay, if it's for safety, Abby, what do you?
Okay, I was going to say, I may erase my idea of B, because if we do B, back doors in the back, but no one can really see it. So
That's
if
true.
somebody's there and they're leaving at night,
That's
they go out
true.
the back door. If it's C, then you can see both entrances. We just have to
Right.
make our sidewalk to the front door.
Yeah. That's another thought I had, because I don't know about future mayors, but I work quite late, and that could be kind of creepy, actually. And it,
Yeah, the back door back
Yeah.
in the trees.
yeah, it would.
and I guess I'll raise one other issue. I'm starting to change my mind, Brian, sorry. But if we did want to eventually put a Christmas tree or any kind of things out,
It would give more room.
it would be more
Yeah.
room.
Yeah,
and-
you'd have an actual
And it would
lawn.
lead into here if we wanted to have a warming area. And then
Right.
secondly, I envision down the road having that lead out to a park area going up towards 323. And so this would be pointing towards that park area.
Parks and Recreation, right here.
Okay, so let's test the water. I make a motion, we go with C, Charlie.
Okay, okay, we have a motion from Jaffe to accept C. It's been seconded by Fowler. All those in favor? Wow, unanimous, so look at that. Okay, and C passes unanimously. Woohoo! All right. Didn't know how that was going to go.
Tara, I guess the next question is timing of when we can get it done.
So on timing, I was just waiting for you guys to vote, and I'm gonna call Mr. Northcutt, and he said as soon as we had the pad, he'll try and get by, and I said, we need this ASAP. I have already called the septic engineer. He put me on his list. It's 2 to 3 weeks out, but at least we're on the list. And that's just to get on the list. So I don't know, but I'll call him as soon as possible. I'll call him maybe even tonight. So, all right. So, number 4, discuss and consider paying for landscape fabric and gravel for the driveway area to support the moving of the building. I put this on here so we could discuss it. And after investigating a little further, as I was concerned, here we have all these people praying for rain. And if it were to rain, would that mean that our building wouldn't be able to be moved? And then Mr. Hall was saying, well, the ground in that driveway is so hard rock right now that it would be perfect to move it across. You wouldn't want to put gravel there because it would inhibit that, and then you tear up your gravel too. So he said, well, if it were to rain, for one, it'd probably be dry. With Texas heat, it'd be dry the next day. But then he said, then if it were still soft, you could put boards across it and you would have no problem. And then I did confirm with another contractor, and he agreed. And Terry might have something to say on that. But we did need to talk about it. So the driveway, I measured it off with the wheel, and we could accommodate approximately 14 parking spots across that front. If it's 146 feet, and if we had 28 feet of gravel, that's approximately 4,000 square feet of gravel, and that would be 2.5 truckloads. And I'm getting a quote on that of gravel. What Mr. Danley said, they don't have any gravel now, but they're supposed to get them in August. So he didn't say whether it was beginning, mid, or end of August. But he suggested we just go ahead and get 3 truckloads because you're going to pay for the diesel anyway. But the council may decide to back off and just do 2 or 1. But Mr. Hall said he would donate the scraping off of the current lawn, like there's grass there. He would scrape it off. He could put that fabric down, which he said it was about $700 a roll. And then you can put the gravel on top, and then your gravel wouldn't just disappear, like it does over time. And then you would have your gravel parking right there. So.
Okay, but we don't need it to accommodate moving of the building.
So initially, I didn't know that, so that's why it's on here. But he did reassure me that we didn't really need it, but we can at least talk about it, and with your approval, then we can, at least get quotes. And he was going to try and get quotes on that and stuff.
So I would be in favor of holding off for such a long period that it wouldn't even make sense to spend the effort to get quotes right now. I've parked on mud before. So if it happens to rain, I'm good with parking on mud. But I mean, we don't have septic, electricity, or water on that property. So I don't think we need to be spending money on this right now.
So the gravel, if you just did, I think it's like, he said like $700, or it used to be $700 for 1 load. So to kind of give a reference. So it's not an enormous amount.
And again, this is just...
And the women are saying, we don't want to go through mud.
No, we did not say that at all.
Oh, okay.
That's fine with us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But in that area, I've put gravel down on my in-laws, or they put their own gravel down on their driveway. It goes away pretty quick. So
when you don't have the fabric.
Yeah, you need the fabric, so that would be the extra expense right now. Right now, I don't think we're in a position that we need to.
The only caveat to that is that Mr. Hall already has his scraper blade there, and so the free service is $1,000 service free to us, and because his equipment's already there, it's there.
I'll donate the scraper later.
You will? Okay. All right, Robin Follow will.
Okay, I just have one question. So you just said that there's going to be roughly 14 parking spots.
Well, if we went to the 146 feet, there is additional room for more, but that was just the initial.
Okay, so let's just say we go with the initial for 14.
Mm-hmm.
How many of the 14 are you going to make handicap? Because then, like if you make most, I would think you would at least need 2, but then you only leave 12 parking spots for everybody else, and handicap spots are just a hair wider than normal parking spots. So that's why out of 14, how many are going to be handicapped, so that we know how many you would actually have left for regular parking?
So I think the guideline is like 10%. So you're right; it would probably be about 2. So
that's only going to leave 12, and on top of that 12, you'll have the city secretary. If it's not a town hall, if it's no meetings, you just have the mayor and the city secretary. So you've already went from 14 to 12 for handicap, down 2 more. So then you only are leaving 10 parking spots.
We do have 300. We do have 311 feet of frontage there, so we could have up to approximately 30 parking spots.
Okay.
Or places to park. I mean, we're not going to be spraying lines on the ground.
Well, no, I'm just asking because once.
No, it's a good point.
Once all this happens and it's down the street, and then we come to have a town hall, and we have all these extra cars, and 2 are handicapped, we're not going to have enough parking if we just start out with 14.
So how many cars do we have here tonight? Do we know?
There's
about a dozen.
About a dozen, and then you got a motorcycle, and so about roughly would just say like 13.
Okay.
14.
So, and that's kind of what I was thinking, because we're kind of self-limiting in the space. So if we had 14, we might have to consider a couple more. But the nice thing about the 32-foot driveway of Longhorn, that for overflow, if we needed to, it's after hours. Most of our meetings, I think all of our meetings have been after hours. They close at 5. And so I was going to ask them permission if, we could park along that road, because even it's quite spacious. So even at the 30-foot parking in the parking space, you could back out and you have another 32-foot driveway, so people could actually park up and down that driveway and have plenty of room to get in and out. So Chad West.
Has anybody looked about putting a drainage tile in there? Because that property, even through that easement, based on how high up they built that driveway, you now have water access that runs down in between that fence down to the road. So if you go through there and pile up a bunch of rock and gravel, you're going to start backing water back up into the other part of the property.
The flow of the water has been changed since our last rain event with the dirt work that's been done.
Yeah,
So
I'm not talking about the backside of the property. I'm talking about between the pipe fence and the driveway itself. To me, it looks like there's a depression in there. As you approach the road, that starts to turn into essentially a ditch. And if you're going to put 140 or 150 feet of gravel in there, as that starts to go off, you're going to have right there where is whether or not it's going to drain or is it going to back up into that driveway.
So does gravel run off more than grass? I don't know. Does anyone know, do you know the answer?
The issue with this right now is you get the natural part of that. You're going to basically go in there and run.
Well, actually, the 146 feet doesn't go, so it would be leaving that whole corner green. So I just took from that, we wouldn't have to chop that tree down. There's that tree that's kind of bent over. So it's just going from the end of that tree to the other, between the crepe myrtles. So it's not even including that corner.
But the driveway itself is up above the actual 323. It's actually almost up above the fence.
You're right, that
Through
is.
there, all the way through that, where they run all their electrical lines and everything. This is a central ditch. You go in there and lay that flat, are you going to back up
we
the water?
we may need a culvert or something once we see how the water flows.
Yeah. So I do know currently that corner does kind of retain a lot of water, but
We'll just need one stretch of culvert.
One
to get
stretch of
under
culvert, perhaps.
Under the rock if we need it. But
Hey,
yeah, it's definitely
Kevin-
something to look at.
Kevin Sinkovich?
Kevin Sinkovich, 11090 CR 2400. Just to reiterate, it is 211 feet, so there's like 35. I mean, if you had to rock out the whole thing,
311.
311 feet, so it'd be like 30 cars if you had to driveway the whole thing. There's an easement. Tara's right. The Longhorn wouldn't have an issue at all after hours with community parking up and down that road. And on the other side of the driveway, they also have another, I don't know, it would be equivalent to another parking space for another parking lot on the other side.
Do they own beyond
do.
that?
They
They
do,
own
yeah.
beyond that. I didn't
Beyond
realize.
the driveway, they own like another 20 feet or something
Okay.
on top of that. So there is, there's plenty of room there if you guys decide you want to expand to something bigger, better, somewhere
But-
on in the future.
And I appreciate that. We've been talking about future visions as well. So at some point, that property may change hands. The people who are alive today may not even be alive to give us that permission. So it'd just be best for the town to make sure that it's looking out for itself. So I really appreciate the comments that have been coming in.
Yeah, the last thing is the fabric is probably a necessity because they do have an internet cable and a water line through there, and my understanding of the erosion control fabric is a barrier between the rock and continually sinking deep into all of that. So yeah.
Okay, Shelley Smith?
So far, hello. So far, what are the known expenses for this building?
Okay, so that's a little off topic.
No, we're talking about consider paying for the landscape fabric. I think we need to know how much money we have left.
Well, so considering the landscape gravel and the driveway is very different from a budget. That's just very different from considering a budget. If you want to bring that up in general comments.
Does it come out of a different pocket?
Well, we're considering landscape fabric, gravel, and the driveway. If you have a driveway concern, that would be on topic.
But this is all to do with this building.
Okay.
So how much did it cost, are we paying to move the building?
Shelley, you can talk in general comments on this, okay?
Okay, how much are we paying for the pad?
I have a spreadsheet here that's been updated, but again, this is not the topic at hand.
Yes, it is. It's all to do with paying for moving the building.
No.
And part of the
Okay,
gravel
you-
and the landscape is that.
Okay,
So how
you're
much
out
are
of
we paying
line.
for the dirt?
You're out of line.
How much are we paying for the septic? How much are we paying for the electric?
Okay, we can talk about this at an
My
appropriate
3 minutes
time.
are not up. How much are we paying for putting in the exterior lighting?
You can sit down now. You're off topic. I have a spreadsheet I will be happy to share with you, but it's off topic.
What are our known expenses?
Shelley, if you go on, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Okay? All right? This is off topic. Okay? They're valid questions, but it's off topic. I have a spreadsheet I'll be happy to share with you. Okay? All right. All right, so we have general public. Is there any other comments? Patrick Smith? All right. Glenn Strauss? Okay. All right, so general public comments. I think on item 4, I think the consensus was
Put it
to
off.
wait, to put it off. Is that the consensus? Okay. All right. So general public comments? All right, Robin Followwill?
Okay, I only have 2 things that I want to be able to talk about, and one of them has to do back with last meeting about the open records issue, because you told me, because we're a small town, you get 10 weeks. I downloaded the Public Information Act, 343 pages. I actually talked to somebody from the Attorney General's office and I made y'all a copy of the page where he referenced. There's nowhere in the 343 pages of the Public Information Act that says you get 10 weeks.
That's not exactly what I said. What I said was that if we have a secretary who only works 1 day a week, then that 10 days, business days, would be 10 weeks.
That's not what the Attorney General's
Well,
office told me. And I
the
talked to
open
Jesse.
records attorney is who I've consulted.
Well, I called them and I talked to Jesse Harvey there on the 21st. He told me there is nowhere does it even indicate the 10 weeks. And on top of that,
Well, I don't know how you portrayed that, because depending on how you say that, it would make a
I gave
difference.
him the rundown. Our town is 2,069 people. We don't have a city secretary at the time, but someone put in open records request. It took 2 months. He said, how many pages did she want? I said, I don't think it would be that much. And I said, and I know if they get more than 50, then you charge for after 50 pages, and it's the hourly rate of $15 or more.
So I'm under legal advisement from the open records attorney with our law firm, and so that is the advice that I've been following.
I will call them again and talk to them, but this is out of our Texas Public Information
So would you
Act.
like to volunteer to be secretary?
I have a full-time job, and I have a business also, so I
Okay.
don't have time to do that part. My second thing that I want to talk about, or actually, I guess, ask a question is, y'all have a P&Z committee. Okay. So first off, are you referenced using this book? Because this is what any town is supposed to go by. I asked a P&Z director, and they said, as us as a town, our council, this is the book that y'all should be doing everything through.
I have a book that's even bigger than that.
Well, this is specifically the Texas local government code.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what, we're not jumbo. This is what they said we're to go by. P&Z, at some point, once that develops more, there hopefully is going to be a board of adjustments put together, because that's what chapter 211 says has to happen.
Yes, ma'am. The committee is just that. It's just a committee. They've been working hard to give the council, they're going to be giving a council, they're not quite ready yet, they're giving the council And at the appropriate time, we'll be doing the Board of Adjustments and a commission.
Okay. And
Okay, your time's up. All right, Kevin Sinkovich. Okay, Shelley Smith.
The December 2021 Poetry Post newsletter stated that since the new tax rate issue was voted on and passed, that all business owners of the town of Poetry must start charging the extra 2% starting January 1, 2022. Why did you direct the businesses to start paying that tax?
That wasn't a direction, that was just an explanation of what the sales and use tax was.
Is it true that since the paperwork for the sales and use tax was not submitted timely, the sales and use tax had no chance of going into effect until July 2022?
The fact was that Secretary Caroline and myself reached out 3 times in December, the month of December, to the comptroller.
Did the businesses owned by you and your husband start charging for this tax?
We have not. We were not. And when we finally talked with the comptroller, she said that's not up to us at all. That's the comptroller sends out the letter. So part of the information that we received was the comptroller will send out those letters.
Did you inform the citizens, the business owners of Poetry, that what you had put in the Poetry Post was wrong?
I didn't even remember doing that. But remember, those are edited.
Are you going to issue an apology for telling them wrong?
So I have not had one question regarding that until now. But, you know, if we need to,
Well,
we
to
can
your
do
knowledge,
that.
did any of the businesses in Poetry follow that directive?
I doubt it. Until they receive a note from the comptroller, I have a business and we didn't receive anything from the comptroller.
Okay, how much are you paying for moving the building?
$3,500. But actually, that's been paid
How
for
much
by.
is the pad?
No, wait a minute. That's paid for by Brett Anderson because
I'm
he's
just asking
donating
how
that.
much did it cost?
So
How
it
much
will
was
cost
the
the
pad?
town $0.
How much was the pad?
The pad about $3,500.
How much was the dirt?
I haven't received an invoice, but we think he did about 16 loads, so it's less than what we anticipated.
Which is what?
21 loads.
I'm sorry?
It was scheduled for 21 loads.
And how much a load?
So $225 a load. We think he did about. I asked him today, and he said he would send that to me. He wasn't.
How much is the septic going to cost?
I talked with. We don't know. The new septic is $8,000. We currently have a septic that's paid for, and according to the man who put it in, it can be moved. It's brand new. It hasn't been used much. So, and I asked him for a quote on that, and I don't know at this point.
How much is it going to cost to run the electricity?
I have a submission into Encore, and we're waiting to hear back from them. But there is a telephone pole right there. It shouldn't be very expensive.
Will there be other poles added onto the property?
Okay. All right. Patrick Smith.
Patrick Smith, and I still live at 18730 1565. How many ordinances have been voted on or voted into effect or approved, whatever you want to call it, since the town was formed?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, we haven't. I don't know.
Well,
More than one.
More than one.
okay, but neither the mayor nor any of the council member knows how many ordinances have actually been passed and become effective since the town was formed.
We have a book. I have a binder of ordinances and resolutions, but the way we number them is per year and per month, not necessarily in like the sequential order.
Okay.
So no, I don't know. But there's been, I don't know.
How many resolutions have been actually passed by the town since it was formed?
Again, that's in the binder, but I don't really know it off the top of my head.
Okay, and is that binder open for a member of the public to come look through it? Or is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret.
Okay, so then it's,
But
under the Public Information Act, any citizen could come and look at it, correct?
so once the secretary makes sure that it's complete, because I'm not sure it's complete, and we file the meetings. And remember, we don't have a city secretary now, and I've been elected as mayor, not city secretary. So I'm doing the very best I can. But so when I did converse with her via text today, and we're waiting to hear what her doctor says she can work.
Okay, so we have a binder of all the ordinances and resolutions that have passed, but neither the mayor nor any of the council members nor a member of the public can go in there and see.
You're assuming that, and I have not said that.
That's what you just said.
You're assuming.
Okay, then
You're assuming that I said that. I did not say that.
Please correct me what I'm wrong on. I don't need anything from you, sir, okay? Why don't you call him out of order? Because he's, your friend. Go ahead.
You can go ahead, Patrick.
Ma'am, I'm asking you to clarify if I'm misunderstood.
I'm saying that, yes, you can look at the binder. It is not a secret. It is in my feed store, so you'll have to, right now we need to get our town hall, so it's not in my feed store, okay?
Okay, it's in the feed store, it's not in the feed store. Please, where is it?
There is a binder in the office. I have a temporary office set up. The secretary has not been working, so I don't know that it's complete, so we want to make sure that it's absolutely complete.
No, he can't see it.
You can see it.
I can be the volunteer secretary.
Okay.
Okay, well, somebody started talking, but I know how this is going to go.
All right, Glenn Strauss.
Yeah, I apologize for my off tomorrow.
You want to? Okay, is that it? All right. Susie Strauss? Okay, your pass? Okay. All right. So the time is 7:41. Meeting adjourned.